Salute. 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 Top of the morning. Top of the morning. Peoples, where y'all at? Top of the morning. Welcome to the Real Big Fruit Podcast. I am your host, Big Fruit, Michael Jordan of Accord, also known as the voice of the streets, better known as the glue, because I like to keep things together and keep them in a proper perspective. Good morning, peoples. How you doing out there on this Friday morning? First and foremost, when you come through the building, smash the like button, like, comment, and share. Let's get the Real Big Fruit Podcast where he need to be. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to all my peoples out there that's up early this morning, getting themselves together, getting ready to go to work. All my peoples that work the graveyard shift and they on their way up out of work. People's in their car, people on their radio, whatever, listening to Big Fruit. Y'all know what it is. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I seem to have a little audience early in the morning on their way to work or on their way home from work. So I figured I blast off early in the morning and just let my shit ride out throughout the morning. You know what I'm saying? But y'all see the title, right? My Midtown Memories. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to my guy, Manny P. That's my guy, also known as the Cody. Yeah, man, I went through some bullshit on YouTube when they was trying to say, yo, food rat. He told him it was quarter fitted. My quarter fitted Manny P had to step up and let that know that's not how that went down. Anyway, shout out to Manny P. Manny P's my guy. Manny P hit me the other day, reminiscing about the Mr. C joint because he missed the Biggie event. Mr. Manny P was down here last year when we did the Mr. C joint. You know what I'm saying? He missed the Biggie tribute. So we was on the phone vibing, talking about the two events. And then we found ourselves reminiscing about Midtown. Yeah, we can't help but always reminisce about that shit because of the drama I went through on YouTube over Midtown case that me and Manny P quote was ridiculous. But anyway, our Midtown memories is crazy. I remember when we first started at Shorty's in LG, because like I told you at Lafayette Gardens, when you came out the house, at LG, the first thing you did was learn how to dig a pocket in Midtown. That was protocol, man. If you really, really wanted to come out the house in the 80s, that was protocol. Or you wasn't out the house unless you was in Midtown. You know what I'm saying? So all the Shorties, we all had a bird's eye view of what was going on. Everything from pickpocketing, jostling, digging pockets, boosting, all that. We had an up close and personal front row seat on all that. And I remember when we had our Midtown front seat. And we used to watch all the see, we weren't teenagers yet. We were all 11, 12. This is before I turned 13 because I caught my first case at 13. So we were all 11 and 12, waiting to become teenagers. So we used to watch the 15 and the 16-year-old dudes do what they do. And I remember vividly, they had a routine. Yo, they had a routine, man. They would wake up on Saturday mornings. That back then there wasn't no internet. There wasn't no cell phones. You didn't text nobody. You know what I'm saying? And your mama wasn't always letting you use her phone, running up her phone bill back then. So back then, it was like protocol. One dude would come out his crib and be walking through the projects and he ew. And next thing you know, everybody coming outside. It was like a protocol. On a Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, all it took was one dude to come out his crib, and it was lit. He'll walk through the projects, niggas looking out the window. Next thing you know, that one dude turned into 3 dudes. 3 dudes turned into 5 dudes. 5 dudes turned into 7 dudes before dudes get to that Classen Avenue G train station. Back then, it was the GG. Classen Avenue. Dudes, you get mad deep at the train station. There'd be 8, 9 motherfuckers on their way to mid. Sometimes part of the routine was going to the we had a little a thrift store. That's what they call it, thrift stores. I don't know. We had a little store, neighborhood store called Wallace. That was directly across the street from my building. And Wallace sold everything wholesale. Jeans, shirts, t-shirts, socks, you name it. I used to watch the crew, the older dudes. I used to watch them. They would go, yo, what's popping uptown, top of the cash. I would watch the older dudes. They would go in Wallace, buy a pack of t-shirts, buy a pack of socks, split them shits up, socks in their pocket, t-shirts around their neck, and then they hit the train station. Good morning, Tej. What's popping? They would hit the train station. Now, the socks and underwear was for a purpose. Nobody liked to jinx themselves about getting arrested, but the socks and drawers was a precaution. If you get knocked, you're going through the system. And back then in the 80s, it wasn't no overnight. You get arrested overnight, you see the judge shit. Back then, you go through the process system for about the whole weekend before you see the judge. You get knocked on a Saturday, you might not see the judge till Tuesday. It was rough back then. You know what I'm saying? So I used to watch the older dudes actually go in Wallace, buy socks and buy drawers, throw them shits in their pocket, and then take it to mid. Word, kid. Another protocol with Midtown was you bought tokens. You bought tokens and you kept tokens in your pocket. And you kept the tokens in your pocket because your match piece, God. You kept the tokens in your pockets because when you're running wild in mid, digging pockets, running down train stations and all that shit, always pay your fare, my nigga. Never be on the run from the police or digging a pocket and you jump the turnstile. That was protocol. If you jumped the turnstile, that was more heat. You know what I'm saying? You would hit something on upstairs, run down in the train station, control yourself, gather yourself, pay your fare, walk through the turnstile, and then keep it pushing. That was protocol. We had different protocols in Midtown, son. So another protocol was you always wore a jacket and a sweatshirt or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You always wore a jacket and a sweatshirt. So this way you could dig a pocket, peel off the jacket, or turn it inside out. You know what I'm saying? It was protocols in Midtown. So you had to have your outfit right for the getaway. You had to have extra underwear just in case you got knocked. And you had to keep tokens in your pocket so you didn't jump the turnstile and draw heat to yourself in the commission of a robbery or some crazy shit. Yeah, real Midtown was bugged out, right? It was rules, and I'm telling you, it was a sport. It was a sport. And I'm gonna keep it real. Some dudes was taking athlete money. Niggas was taking athlete money. So it was definitely a sport. You had motherfuckers who lived in Midtown 7 days a week, and every day they brought home no less than $3,500. Like, you had some dudes that lived in Midtown and they was getting athlete money. Word to brothers up. So you had your rules, you had your protocol. Now you had your locations. The locations would start, if you didn't go downtown Brooklyn, digging pockets on Fulton Street and all that shit, usually you did that after you tore up Midtown, or Midtown was too hot and you had to bring it to Brooklyn and deal with what was on Fulton Street, downtown Brooklyn. That's the only time we really messed with downtown Brooklyn. Plus, downtown Brooklyn, you ain't see too many. I'm gonna keep it 100. It is what it is. You ain't see too many white Vicks. That's what we should call them, victims. The Vicks, white Vicks, downtown Brooklyn. All the white Vicks was in Midtown. All the tourists were in Midtown. You know what I'm saying? Midtown was a tourist attraction. So all those robberies that was committed, a majority were on tourists, and tourists don't stay in New York City to press charges. Tourists don't stay in New York City to go to court. So a lot of Midtown cases were misdemeanors. A lot of Midtown cases was dismissed. You know what I'm saying? Because the victims, or the Vicks, we used to say, they were tourists. You didn't have a lot of tourists downtown Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? You have to hit downtown Brooklyn. Now you downtown Brooklyn. You digging pockets on foreigners, the poppies. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. You digging pockets on the foreigners, the Arabs and shit like that. You know, you ain't going hard on your people on no Midtown shit. Digging pockets. You ain't put your hand in no black man pocket. That was protocol as well. But back to the locations. The locations would be first location would be 14th Street. 14th Street, Union Square. No question. Now, when you took the train to 14th Street and you came up on that platform, you came out that train station up onto the street of 14th Street. 14th Street was like Fulton Street in Brooklyn. 14th was like Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. It was a strip, like 42nd. It was a strip. Bunch of clothing stores, a lot of mayhem. And let me tell you, if the 3-card Monty dudes was outside playing red card or the ball under the top, they would let you know, yo, it's sweet out here. Because, you know, they was running their scam on people. They had their little lookouts and shit. They was getting their hustle on. And they would let you know, yo, it's sweet out here. Ain't no D's out here. That's what we used to call the detectives. Undercover police. Yo, ain't no D's out here. Yo, it's sweet. And I'm telling you, man, dudes would tear 14th Street up. Dudes would tear 14th Street up. Up and down 14th Street, just tearing that shit up. Digging pocket after pocket. You run up the block, take off your jacket, turn it inside out from black to red, and go dig another pocket. Take the jacket, throw it in the garbage can, pull up your hoodie. Like, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you had to learn what you was doing. You had to, you know, yo, that's the left, yo, that's the right. Or you had to be, see, yo, that's shorts. You know what I'm saying? You had to be able to decipher the pocket. Well, it was it the left? Was it the right? Was it too big? Yo, son, that's the roll. That's the roll. We getting that. Yo, he got the big roll. Yo, he got the mother load. Or if it was too small, yo, son, that's shorts. Don't fuck with that. Yo, there ain't no money. Don't fuck with that. You had to learn how to live out there and survive. Yo, Midtown was crazy. I'm telling you. Let me read some of these comments. Uptown was popping. TEJ was popping. Mines, I said peace. When the Uptown say that was my pop's hustle, 3-card Molly. Yeah, son, 3-card Molly. Them niggas would be out there, red car, have his man, fake betting. They scheming, hustling, and you'll pull up on a 3-card, be like, yo, what's good out here? They be like, yo, it's sweet, son. Ain't no D's out here. And the rest is history. We would tear 14th Street up. Tear it up. From 14th Street, we would go up to 23rd. Yeah, we would go up to 23rd. For some reason, 23rd was an attraction. I never really liked the 20s. I liked 14th Street. I liked the mayhem. I liked the crowd. I didn't like the walking through the 20s. That shit was always leery to me. I ain't never liked the 20s. I seen a lot of dudes get knocked in the 20s. I ain't really care for the 20s. But the 23rd Street was the next spot. Dudes was hit 23rd. Another location would be, now this is for live men, not for freshmen. You could get away with being new to this and not true to this on 14th Street, downtown Brooklyn, and even the 20s if you got the right person holding you down. But when it comes to 34th Street, 42nd Street, and anything in the 50s in the Diamond District and all that, when it comes to those locations, that shit was strictly for live men, not for freshmen. I kid you not, my guy, because I'm going to tell you what. You know how I said I like the crowd and the ruckus? The crowd and the ruckus is on 34th Street and 42nd Street. No question about it. Probably the biggest crowds you'll ever see in New York City in shopping areas. 34th, 42nd Street. 125th Street in Harlem ain't got nothing on that. Downtown Brooklyn ain't got nothing on that. Jamaica Ave in Queens ain't got nothing on that. Ain't nothing like 34th Street and 42nd Street in New York City. Them two streets take it when it's them two streets is the illest, period. So you gotta be a live motherfucker to be in the midst of all that shit, digging a pocket and running up and down them streets, because it is so many. When I say so many, it is so many undercover superheroes, detectives, all types of shit on 34th Street and 42nd Street, son. You have to be built like that to take money on those streets. I remember watching Big Un, rest in peace, Big Un, Mitchell Rose. I remember watching Big Un. This is digging pockets. This is 89. This is 89. Digging pockets. Strong arm shit, right? And it was so hot on 14th in the 20s. We found ourselves on 34th Street. And like I told you, 34th Street, you got to be built like that. And Big Un built like that. He old school. But Un wasn't digging pockets. I watched Un jostle. That shit fucked me up because I never seen Big Un jostle. I watched Big Un jostle. Like, I watched Big Un creep up on something, creep up in a broad pocketbook and take the wallet. And yo, I watched him do this shit. And the shit is crazy because if I'm watching him do this shit all the way, full-fledged, every step of the way, if I'm watching this shit, other people watching this shit, son. But yo, 34th Street, 42nd Street, people minding their motherfucking business, keeping it pushing. It's so crazy. So you had to be a liveman, not a freshman, to take money. And if you dug a pocket in the midst of all that shit, remember, he pickpocketed, he jostled because there's so much chaos. If you dug a pocket in the midst of all that chaos, it was definitely a scene made. Or you was one of those smooth motherfuckers, spank it through pocket, bounce off a car, bounce off a parked car, hit the curve into a grocery store, deli, and nobody didn't even see you. The Vic still holding his pocket, wondering where the fuck you was. Like, it was crazy in Midtown. I seen it all. I seen dudes dig a dude pocket and they ain't even run. I seen a dude dig a dude pocket, bounce off a dude, spin off another dude, and walk the next direction with the money in his hand. Not run, walk. Calm as day, and nobody don't realize shit. They still stay there, hold his pocket. Like, yo, Midtown was crazy. But like I said, when you hit 34th Street and you hit 42nd Street, that shit was built for live men, not freshmen when it came to location. Yeah, and the Diamond District, because you knew up there, that was some real paper. You wasn't going to take no short paper. You knew going up on 34th, 42nd, 47th, 54th, 57th. When you was up in there, you knew you was going to take some money, but you had to be a liveman, not a freshman, son. I'm telling you. Yo, Vito Stills was popping. A couple Harlem kids got chased out of Midtown by the team. Word Harlem. Yo, I never really ran into no Harlem dudes out there digging pockets. I ran into a lot of Harlem dudes on 42nd Street by the Port Authority. They had like this diner where they used to all hang out, but they was a jostling crew in a, you know what I'm saying? They didn't dig pockets, they was jostlers. You know what I'm saying? Harlem dudes, Bronx dudes, when they was in Midtown, they was straight jostling, pickpocketing, hustling and scamming people and shit like that. And they had a little hangout by the Port Authority at a diner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Midtown, locations. After locations, it was skills. Yo, Sam, you was popping. Finesse Analyzer was popping. Harlem and BX definitely heavy by that diner. You know that diner? Yeah, they had a diner over there where they used to be. You know what I'm saying? They had a little diner by the Port Authority. They hung out where they bust down their cash and shit, did what they do. They had a little pool table in there. Yeah, Midtown memories, kid. After location, you had to have skill. I'm going to say you had to have skill. Because the majority of the people were right-handed. Majority of people in the world are right-handed. And it's very, very difficult to do things with your left-handed. If you're right-handed and you never really did anything with your left hand. In Midtown, you had to learn quick, son. If you ain't never did nothing with your left hand, in Midtown would be the first place you utilize your left hand. Because you got left pockets. And the pocket determines the side of the pocket determines which hand you use. If a dude walking in front of you and he got his money in his left front pocket, you have to use your left hand to go behind him and go in his left pocket. It's just that simple. It's not rocket science. And most people didn't know how to use their left hand, son. Because everybody right-handed. Everybody feel comfortable digging it with their right hand, coming out of that shit and running. You know what I'm saying? The right hand is where your power at. So if a motherfucker grab you, you know you going, you know what I'm saying, fight them back. Left hand, not so. So you had to develop skill with your hands. You know what I'm saying? The left, the right. Then you had to develop a good sense of the pocket using your eye. I don't know what to call this, but you had to have a good sense of determine the pocket with your eye. You had to be able to use your eye and say, that's a roll of money in his pocket. Or, nah, that's a wallet. Or, nah, that's a bunch of garbage. You had to develop that skill. I'm telling you, son, this shit is crazy, right? This shit is a sport. You had to develop the skill with your eye to determine whether, that's short money or that's the roll. You had to develop that. You really did. Big understanding. Fort Greene was my Midtown trainer for hustle, no question. That's why Nut was so precise with it. Listen, you had to develop these skills, kid. You had to develop these skills. After the eye, what was next? After your eyes, you had to learn. Now we're talking about the area. You had to always know your area. And why I'm telling you this is because on 14th Street, the only place you really had to run on 14th Street after digging a pocket was back down in the train station. That's the only place you really had to run. Or you just was bold with it and ran across that two-way street and proceeded up 15 up the block toward going down 15, 16, 17. You ain't just give a fuck. 14th, you ain't really had nowhere to run. Like I said, the 20s was always iffy for me, man. I ain't like the 20s. The 20s, all you was doing in the 20s, if you dug something in the 20s, you was running from block to block. Like, you know what I'm saying? Running on block for block, side block and shit like that. The 20s was never for me, bro. Now, when you're talking about the 34th and the 42nd Street, you must know your area because there's a whole lot of ways to get away. And there's a whole lot of train stations up and down 34th and 42nd Street. So when you in those locations, you got to know your area. You got to know, if I dig him right here, I'm going to run. You got to know this before you put your hand in the nigga pocket. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you see the road, oh shit, yo, that's it. Yo, what's that? Yo, that's a left. All right, yo, son, we going to spank this nigga. We going to run down here, hit the train station, come up on the other side. All right, boom. That quick, New York minute. You got to be able to come up with that shit in a New York minute before you put your hand in this nigga pocket or before he get away. Before he get away, or before some other Midtown niggas see that and they cut your throat. Y'all niggas be out there fighting over that money. Like, yeah, son, you had to be on your toes. You had to be on your toes. I keep telling you, that shit was a sport. And niggas was taking athlete money out there. It was a sport, son. I'm not lying to you. This shit was a sport. After you knew your areas, you basically just had to have the heart to do what you do. And another thing you had to learn about this digging pocket shit was you had to learn. See, most people was only comfortable digging, going up behind you and going in your slacks. It came a point where you learned what rooftops were. I know what rooftops are. Rooftops is when your front pocket is in front of you. You know what I'm saying? It's damn near on your waist. You know, that rooftop pocket, not the side pocket, but that rooftop pocket. A lot of Vicks used to wear rooftops. And the roll used to be in the rooftops. I ain't never seen nobody go up in no rooftops and come out with no shorts. Because you only go up, rooftops is a struggle, son. I'm only struggling in some rooftops if I know that's the roll. That's why you never seen nobody come out of rooftops with no shorts. Every time a nigga took some rooftop money, it was a roll. And rooftops, see, let me do another thing. I'm give you another difference between a regular pocket and a rooftop. And I think of this nigga World when I think of this shit right here, son. World was one of them fake, I want to go to mid niggas. He want to do everything Wise do. Wise was taking it in Midtown before that crack shit. Wise was on Big Untamed, rest in peace, Big rest in peace, Wise. They had a crew and Wise was out there taking it. Wise wasn't scared to dig in the pocket. Wise was a fast running nigga. Wise a fighter superhero. Like Wise was out there doing it. So World just was Word just wanted to be down and be down. Word just wanted to be down, and he wanted to emulate Wise. Word ain't had no fucking business in Midtown. He ain't had to dig no pocket. He always had clothes. He always had money. He had big brothers. He had a good mom. Like, he ain't had to do none of that shit. He was the baby in the family. He just did shit because he wanted to emulate Wise or get on Wise fucking nerves. But he was a fake digging pocket nigga. And this is the difference between rooftops and regular pockets. See, a regular pocket, you could get close up on a motherfucker, arm's length, dig your hand in the pocket and keep it pushing, right? Rooftops, you can't do that. Rooftops, you got to really, really, really get up on a nigga and basically put your chest on his back and handle your scandal. You ain't got to do that with a regular pocket. Regular pocket, you can stand at a distance and do it. And I had a flashback in the memory of World, because the nigga World, niggas would be like, yo, that's the pocket right there. Yo, it's a right. And World would be like, all right, I'll do it. And the nigga used to be so far away from the pocket, acting like he was going to dig the pocket, son. And the shit used to be hilarious. Like, nigga, you would dig the pocket. And then he would fumble. That's another thing with digging pockets, son. Sometimes a nigga could go to dig the pocket and don't get in, and you tussle with the nigga, and you got to let the nigga go and keep it pushing. That's an attempt robbery, nigga. Keep it poofing. That can happen. I've seen that happen. And that World was the type of nigga to go, yo, I missed it. Nigga, you ain't tried, man. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? So that was a flashback, a memory of Midtown fucking with World. But yeah, you had to know the difference between a regular pocket and the rooftop. Rooftop, son, you had to put your work in, son. Let me read some of these comments. Absolutely, you must know the pockets in Midtown and the police. No question. We're going to talk about the superheroes. 42nd Street had a lot of superheroes. Then we're going to talk about the superheroes. R.I.P. Just Like was my main partner in the York game in Midtown. For that. Yeah, that fumble was a no-no. You know what I'm talking about, son. I could get you benched by the coach. Yeah, son. A lot of niggas used to do that fake shit. Yo, I missed. World was good for that shit, son. Because he ain't had no business out there. He's scared to death. He get caught, he gonna get an ass whooping from his mama and then another ass whooping from Wise. He ain't got no business out here. But he used to do the fake, yo, I missed. That was World for you all day long, son. But you had to have heart, son. Because if you had to if a rooftop came by and that was it, nigga, you basically had to put your chest on that nigga back and go up in that nigga pocket and get that. Word. Yeah, son. I keep saying it was a sport, kid. That shit was a sport. And dudes was taking athlete money in the early 80s in Midtown, son. Used to hear about it. Yo, that nigga Playboy Star took 52. Yo, that nigga Black Lee took 71. Used to hear about it, son. Yo, that nigga Nut took 37 by himself. Like, nobody with him. Like, used to hear about this shit. Yo, Big Un and them niggas took a money bag. Yo, money bag shot took a bag. Yo, used to hear this shit, son. Niggas was out there, son. Then you had to know your superheroes. Yeah. You had to know your superheroes. You had to know your D's. And on 14th and 14th, 14th, 34th, and 42nd, you had regular D's. You had regular undercover police who knew who the diggers were. Yeah, son, it was crazy. Like a sport, I'm telling you, son. Not only, you had the police, you had certain undercover D's who straight up knew who niggas were. They knew who Drac from East New York was. They knew who Big Smoke from East New York was. They knew who Big Un from LG was. Like, they knew who you were, so you was ducking these niggas, son. And it was very imperative that even if they didn't know you, you better know who they were. Because there was a lot of them out there, son. Yeah, niggas in LG been getting knocked in Midtown since the early 80s. Yeah, you go to Midtown South. Midtown South. And if they was to allow you to look through their photo array of robberies in Midtown Manhattan from fucking 83 to 93, a 10-year decade, you'd be surprised how many motherfuckers from LG photo they got, son. Everybody from Lafayette Gardens caught cases in Midtown from 83 to 93. It ain't a motherfucker in Lafayette Gardens who took Midtown money who ain't catch a case. They got everybody photos, son. Went through Midtown South when they booked us, and they had the whole Lafayette Guard. They had our own section. Everybody got pinched. Everybody got knocked in Midtown. Either you was a Midtown bandit and you just kept going to mid and you caught cases, or you was a nigga who went out there, tried it for the first time, got knocked, and they never did it again. They got your photo like they got a fucking book. Word, son. They got a book. Who was the best in your opinion? Hold on, let me get to that. That you been. Vito said Drac was the #1 target. Shaking my head. They made him ghetto celebrity. Yeah, man, they did Drac filthy. Shout out to my boy Drizzy. Who was the best in your opinion? I'm gonna have to think about that. Midtown hustle involved many different Brooklyn brothers coming together for one common cause. Many mixed cliques, one ran with in Midtown. I hardly knew. Yeah, son. It was all about the money back then, son. That shit was like a sport. It was like a high. It was a thrill. Yeah, son. Now, in my personal opinion, out of the old heads who I thought was the best, I'm gonna just say this. It had the Big Un crew, who I thought was the best in the Big Un crew. You had Big Un, you had Wise, Mathematics, Jamie, Kevin Ellis, Black Lee, Shy, Ralphie, God damn, Razon. Oh my God. Denbo. Whew. The list goes on. Was bringing them out. If I had to go to the Big crew, Kevin Ellis, if I had to go to the Big table and pick one on the Big crew, because they older than me, and he was somewhat of my peer because we did a juvenile bid together and all that shit, man. Shout out to my man, Black Lee, a.k.a. Smooch. Smooch lived on Classen Avenue between DeKalb and Willoughby. So he fucked with LG and he fucked with Big Un. And Smooch took plenty money in Midtown with Big Un. And I'm going to say Smooch was the best because to me, he always took big numbers and he was fast as lightning when it was time to get away. And he very rarely caught a case. He caught that first juvenile case. Yeah, we came through in 87. Because when I came through in 87, when I first came through in 87, he was already there. Smooch had to record a case. So he wasn't even home for Halloween. Yeah, I caught my case, came through, and on his way upstate, I remember he asked the counselors, could he leave me some money? They wouldn't let him do it. I don't think they let him do it. But I remember him, yo, let me leave my man some money. And Lee, it's 87. Lee ended up going to Highland. How I remember, because in 89, when I went to Highland and I was in the school area, my school teacher had pictures of Lee on the wall. I was like, oh shit, that's Lee. I was like, yo, Lee did this bit here, 89, 87, 88. Lee was in Highland, and then I came in 89. But he was my favorite because I thought he was the best because, yo, he only caught that one juvie. And he was fast as lightning, and he never took short money. And I know he ain't never taken no short money because one time when he took that 71, World was on his ass. Yeah, son, niggas went up, niggas tried to back Lee down in front of the building. But like I told you, that nigga was fast as lightning. By the time World and them niggas threw the drop on that nigga, he was gone. Them niggas was banging at the nigga. And one of the niggas who was with World fucked around and hit World in the back of the head or in the back of the shoulder, some stupid shit. That was the first time World took a slug. Fucking with Black Lee. Lee was fast as lightning. By the time they tried to throw the drop on Black Lee in front of 345, Lee was ghost. Niggas was shooting at thin air. They got to leave. But yeah, I think Black Lee was the best with that generation. When it came to my generation, I'm gonna have to be real with you. Nut was the best until he stopped. My generation, Nut was the best until he stopped. And what made him the best until he stopped was the fact that he was first. He was first in my generation. Yeah, Nut was first. And Nut did it big with Nate Cash and Ron K. Rest in peace to the OGs. Nut did it big. Feli Valors at 14. The XXL 125 with the helmet at 14. Nut was the best until he stopped. Nut stopped to start hustling. And that torch was passed to none other than Pretty Boy Star. In my generation, after Nut, it was Pretty Boy Star, son. Star was determined to keep some money in his pocket, and Star was determined to keep some clothes on his ass. Like Pretty Boy Star. He really was determined to stay fresh and keep some money in his pocket, son, and mess with the chicks. That's all he wanted to do. And his thirst for that shit made him the best amongst my generation, son. I gotta call a spade a spade. We all took money. We all had our times. We all got our stories. But when it comes to my generation, Nut was the best until he stopped. And then that torch was picked up by none other than Pretty Boy Star. Pretty Boy Star ran with that shit, son. Yeah, so he was the best then. Irvin Rye from 345. Yo, here I am. No question. Irvin Rye was part of that that big unclick. I apologize for not naming him. Blaming on my mind, not my heart. Irvin Rye, which was Butter Brothers. Rye was another good one. Rye was like Big Lee. Rye was like Black Lee, aka Smooch. Rye was fast as a motherfucker, and Rye very seldomly caught a case. Now, Irv, oh my God. Irv, they used to call Un back in the days too. So a lot of people know Irv is Un in LG. They be like, yo, your man Un from 345 to being mid, not Big Un, little Un. They told my Irv. Irv was fast as lightning. He was left-handed, so he took all lefts with no questions asked. He was fast as lightning, and he had the left hand dead arm. When I say dead arm, shut, I seen this nigga knock out the biggest niggas with that dead arm. So Irv will put a superhero out. No question about it. Irv will put a superhero out. You know what I'm saying? But Irv was one of them who stayed getting locked up. So Irv was definitely in those books. Irv got mad cases. You know what I'm saying? Word. Yo, 80s baby, yo, Silas popping. Let's go, y'all. Yeah, Nut was undisputed with it. No question, Nut was nice with it, son. That was my guy. You needed that dead arm for those superheroes. Yeah, son. Irv had the dead arm. The dead arm. Word the mother, man. Yeah, my Midtown memories. We took so much money in Midtown, caught so many cases. That's why when we caught the case on front of the World Trade, was that the World Trade Empire State Building? They threw that shit in the newspaper. That shit was on the front page of the Post, son. That shit was New York City news. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how a motherfucker, a nondescript Staten Island newspaper did an article on me, but we was Midtown. We was front page daily news, son. Front page daily news. Go get it. You know what I'm saying? Go get it. 89 summer. We tore that shit down. Yeah, Irv got away that day. Because Irv was on that case. Irv got away. You know what I'm saying? When they took those pictures and they came to LG with those actual photos of us robbing that nigga, Irv got the fuck away. Irv wasn't in those photos, but Irv was down on that bag. Irv was down on that ass whooping. Irv was down on that buddy. Word, but he did not come up in none of those pictures and they ain't fuck with Irv. Word, that was my guy, Irv. I remember when me and Butter caught a case 89. This wasn't a Midtown case. It was me firing off on one of them old heads in the projects. Nigga thought I wouldn't fire on a nigga. I was bluffing. I ain't gonna front. I was a shorty with a hammer. I was bluffing. I was shooting at the ground. But you know, in the park, in the parks and the projects, they got the rubber shit on the floor. So every bullet I shot in the ground bounced off the floor and hit this nigga. Unbeknownst to me, I caught a case. And I can remember my grandma was at the police at the crib. They booked me. They walking me out the building. They put me in the car. And the nigga Irv walking out of Tony's Pizza Shop. Shout out to Tony's Pizza Shop. Irv coming out the pizza shop. He like, yo, what's up? They handcuff. I'm walking to the car. I'm like, yo, they going to get butter. He was like, word, yo, son, that nigga dropped the pizza right there. He looked all those police in his face and took flight. And I told you, Irv was fast as a motherfucker. He took flight. Man, that nigga took flight so fast to his crib, try to warn Butter, let Butter know they was coming. Next thing I knew, Butter on Rikers Island. Because Butter was 16, I was 15. Word, that was the first time Butter went through. I went to Spofford, Butter went to the island. Niggas booked us for an assault. That shit ain't go nowhere. That was a case dismissed, but Butter went to the island. Yeah, Butter spent the weekend on the island. Butter went through the system, went to the island, 89. I went to Spofford, came home. Yeah, man, but that nigga Irv was so motherfucking fast, he beat the police for the door. Warned his little bro, yo, get the fuck up. The police looking for you. Yeah, Sean. D-Dot seen a lot of dudes get knocked out in front of Conway's downtown Brooklyn. Yeah, Sean. Yo, listen. The first time I seen a D book a nigga on a robbery was downtown. I never really seen D's bag niggas in Midtown. I seen D's chase niggas. Man, listen, man, I told you that shit was like a sport. Niggas was getting away from the police. You know what I'm saying? Niggas, Irv and Rye, them niggas used to jump over hoods of cars. Am I lying? If you from LG and you know the history of Irv and Rye, keep it 100. I watched Irv and Rye dig pockets. Superheroes, D's, anybody act like they wanted to get involved. I watched them niggas jump over the hoods of cars. Fuck a Blake Griffin dunking, or I watched these niggas jump, literally hop over the hood of cars and bounce on the police. Shit, Rye might jump over the roof of the car clean, like he on the track meet, clean over that motherfucker. Yo, son, Midtown was a movie. Midtown was a movie, son. You had to be there, son. But brother Rye used to go jogging to practice before he dug. See? History. History. Everybody know Rye was the fastest nigga in Midtown. Listen, man. And these niggas was so fast, right? If you wanted to be down on the pocket, you had to dig it. I'm telling you. If you let Irv or Rye dig the pocket, by the time you catch up to them niggas, son, that money gone. That's how fast them niggas was, son. By the time you catch up to these niggas, that money gone. I'm telling you. Them superheroes that chase like the D's would have worked. Yo, son, you had superheroes who would chase you, fight you, wrestle you down, and hold you to the police come. You better recognize that. Yeah, man. You had a bunch of superheroes out there. But yeah, man, Midtown memories is crazy. Midtown. Shout out to all the people that took money in Midtown, son. It was so much money in Midtown. They like he said, man, that shit turned people into celebrities to the point where the police was like, yo, who's Drac? Who's Drac? Drac and them niggas went from taking Midtown money to robbing the robbers. Yeah, they was shaking niggas up, son. Yo, if you took some money and you ran into the East New York niggas, Drac and them niggas, man, you better duck them niggas. You better duck them niggas. Because they was going up in niggas' clothes, yo, where that money at, son? How much y'all niggas took out here today? They was pressing niggas, straight jacket. But yo, Drac was such a fucking myth out there. The police had to throw one on him. They had to throw one on him. They honestly threw that case on Driz. Driz ain't do that shit, son. Driz ain't do that. Just like the shit with Big Smoke and them niggas on 86 New Year's. Them niggas was taking so much money, they was like, fuck that. We throwing these cases on these niggas. You know what I'm saying? Just like they did the Central Park Fire. They threw that case on them boys. That's what they was doing to niggas in Midtown, son, because niggas was taking so much money. And the tourists was complaining. Man, cops was going crazy. It was lit. See, he said Rob was different. I'm like, yo, come on, let's bounce, right? I'm beating nigga up and all that crazy shit. Here I am, said he recently met Drac. Yeah, Drizzy the homie. Shout out to the homie Driz, man. Shout out to Driz. Shout out to Big Smoke. Shout out to Young. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people did some things in Midtown, but at the same time, they caught some cases that wasn't theirs. And them niggas did damn near 25s and 30 years behind prison walls off Midtown shit, crimes that they didn't commit. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you, Midtown was a movie, son. And you had to be there, son. I couldn't sit here and give you this spill if I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? I was there and it was lit. So shout out to all my diggers, all my Midtown crew. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that came out the house and dug pockets, took money in mid. Like I said, the list is too long, too fucking long in Lafayette Guards. Every nigga in LG dug a pocket. So I will actually be sitting here naming every dude who came outside in LG. I literally will have to do that because every dude who was outside in LG took it to mid. So I would literally have to sit here and name everybody. I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is send some rest in peace shout outs to some of the diggers that I watched and idolized. And I have to say, man, they made that shit a movie. They always went out there and took money and they made that shit a sport. And they enjoyed themselves, man. They rode it out until they couldn't ride that shit out no more, man. You know, I don't know if you were supposed to say they had fun doing it, but listen, man, it was lit. It was a movie. Who was the kid who got knocked out by the superhero that went around our neighborhood? I don't know who you're talking about. Tyrone Postle from my projects had 10 mid cases. OG from the forts. Yeah, everybody had mid cases. I want to say rest in peace to Math. Math was a memorable person from the projects who took money in mid, son. Math was a cool dude. I think Math died in 88. I was doing the juvenile bid when Math died. I was upstate already. I left 87. I was upstate 88 when Math died. Rest in peace to Math. Math took Midtown money. Rest in peace to Kevin Ellis. He took Midtown money. Rest in peace to Wise. He took Midtown money. Rest in peace to Big Un. Midtown money. You know what I'm saying? Who else? Rest in peace to Nut. He took that Midtown money. Oh, man, the list goes on. Rest in peace to Nate Cash. To Big Ron K. Yeah, Midtown, son. Yeah, niggas took Midtown money. Niggas used to put up football numbers taking that mid money, son. I'm telling you, son. Word. It was definitely a time, son. And that shit was a time when Latin Quarters, Union Square, and all that shit was popping. But that's another video. That's another video. You know what I'm saying? Mathematic died. If I'm not mistaken, he was in East New York somewhere, and niggas tried to book him in the train station for his coat. I don't know if it was a jacket, leather. I don't know what it was, but nigga popped him in the train station and Math died. Rest in peace to Mathematics. And shout out to the Douglas family. And on that note, I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all know what it is. Big Fruit come through 6 minutes, Dougie. I say what it is. I say what it ain't. But lately, y'all been getting 45 minutes to an hour out the kid. But it's all good. I enjoy hanging out with y'all early in the morning. I see y'all be pulling up. I appreciate it. And you know what I'm saying? It's 15 of y'all in here with 13 likes. I can't complain. Y'all showed out for your boy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all showed out for your boy. Oh, y'all like the longer ones. See, it's not so much that I can't do the longer ones. It's just, it's a YouTube thing and it's an algorithm thing. You know what I'm saying? I got to do what the people flock to. And it seemed like they when I do them joints late in the day and they're 15 minutes, that's what y'all enjoy. But I seem to get y'all attention early in the morning. Y'all pull up, y'all show out, and y'all give me feedback. And it's a nice amount of y'all. So I might have to start doing this 2 or 3 days out of the week. You know what I'm saying? I just got to come up with my content. Y'all know I'm not no corny nigga. I ain't gonna just sit here and run my mouth. So I had to come up with the content. So I had to really sit for a few days and think about what I just did for y'all this morning. You know what I'm saying? Don't just think I get up here and run my mouth. You know what I'm saying? I put thought into what I'm doing. I think about what I'm gonna say before I say it, and then I come up in here and I go. You know what I'm saying? One take fruit. Y'all already know what it is. And on that note, man, I'm gonna end this one. And I'm gonna tell y'all know how I do. When I go to the gig today, I'm gonna tap in and see how y'all respond to this. You know what I'm saying? But right now, your boy gonna get up out of here, get myself ready to go to the gig. You know what I mean? It's Friday. It's a nice quiet one, but it's raining on my side. So I'm gonna go get this money. And until next time, y'all know what it is. Salute. We need some more LG stories from some more legendary figures. All right, let me put that work in.